Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Commerce Tutorpedia. In this video, we are going to cover part 2nd of chapter 3rd, that is organization of data. I would like to inform you that this video is helpful for the exams like NET JRF, college lecturer, and this video is also helpful for the students who are in class 11th. So in this video, what is the topic that we are going to cover? It is what is frequency distribution. So without wasting any time, let's start. So what is frequency distribution? A frequency distribution is a comprehensive way to classify raw data of a quantitative variable. It shows how different values of a variable are distributed in different classes along with their corresponding class frequencies. Okay, so we need to underline this, that it shows how different values of a variable are distributed in different classes along with their corresponding class frequencies. In this case, we have 10 classes of marks like 0 to 10, 10 to 20 up to 90 to 100. The term class frequency means the number of values in a particular class. Okay, now what are the things that we need to write it down is, okay, first thing is what is frequency distribution. So write down the heading frequency distribution. What is a frequency distribution? It shows, okay, what we have just learned about it. It shows how different values of variable, it shows how different values of a variable are distributed in different classes, I hope this is clear to you guys, in different classes. Now what we need to learn is what is class frequency. Okay, write it down, class frequency. So what is a class frequency? Class frequency means the number of values in a particular class. Number of values in a particular class. Okay, in a particular class. I hope these two things are clear to you guys. Okay, let's move ahead. For example, in the class 30 to 40, we have 7 values of marks from raw data in table 3.1 that we have already read. Now let's move ahead. Each class in a frequency distribution table is bounded by a class limit. Okay, so each class in a frequency distribution is bounded by a class limit. Class limit are the two ends of a class. The lowest value is called the lower class limit and the highest value the upper class limits. So this needs to be highlighted, that each class in a frequency distribution table is bounded by class limits. The class limits can be divided into two parts, that is the lower limit and the upper limit. Okay, so in, for example, we have 60 to 70 in this. This is the lower limit and this is the upper limit. Okay, its lower class limit is, you can see in the example also. Now the class interval or class width, these are the synonym words. Okay, class width is the difference between, the upper class and the lower class limit. So what is a class interval? Class interval or class width difference between upper limit minus में lower limit. Okay, so in the example 60 okay, you have to subtract upper limit. Okay, so upper limit is 70 minus 60, that is 10. So you can see in the, so this is the class limit or the class interval. Okay. Now the class midpoint or class mark is the middle value of a class. It lies halfway between the lower class limit and the upper class limit of a class and can be ascertained in the following manner. Midpoint or the class marks is when we add upper limit to lower limit, upper limit to lower limit divided by 2. It is the midpoint. Now this is the point where I have left our lecture. I have stopped our lecture yesterday and I was telling you that this is an important part, so we need to cover this part in next lecture. So should we have equal or unequal size class intervals? So we need to answer this question. There are two situations in which unequal sized interval are used. Okay, we need to know the situations also. So first, when we have data on income and other similar variables where the range is very high. Okay, so first case is when the data on income and other variables where the range is very high, and the second one is in such a situation equal class intervals are not suitable. Because why it is not suitable in this case? Because if the class intervals are of moderate size and equal, there would be large number of classes, right? And if the class intervals are large, we would tend to suppress information. It is a very obvious thing. And the second reason, second case is if a large number of values are concentrated in a small parts of the range, equal class interval would lead to lack of information on many values. Okay, so what was the first case? First case was when we have the data on income and other similar variables, and the second is when if a large number of variables are concentrated in a small part of the range. Now, how many classes should we have? The number of classes is usually between 6 and 15. In case we are using equal sized class intervals, then number of classes can be calculated by dividing the range. What is a range now? This needs to be highlighted. Range is the difference between largest variable and smallest variable. So what is a range? Range is the difference between larger variable. Okay, if you want to write it down, largest variable minus में smallest variable. Okay. Now what should be the sign of each class? The answer to this question depend on the answer to the previous question. Given the range of the variable, we can determine the number of classes once we decide the class interval. Thus we need to find that these two decisions are interlinked. We cannot decide on one without deciding on the other. Okay, now what should we determine the class limits? Class limit should be definite and clearly stated. Generally, open-ended class such as 70 and over. Now, this needs to be highlighted that what is an open-ended class is as 70 and over. When we are not covering the upper limit, right? So, that is known as an open-ended class, or less than 10, or we are not covering the lower limit in a class. The lower and upper limit should be determined in such a manner that frequencies of each class tend to concentrate in the middle of the class interval. Class intervals are of two types. Now, this is a very important concern to NET and JRF. This is a very important part. So, I need you guys to concentrate on these topics. So, class intervals are of two types: inclusive class intervals, exclusive class intervals. Okay. So, there are two types of class intervals. Okay, I would like to class intervals are of two types. First one is exclusive and second one is inclusive. Okay. Now what are the exclusive and inclusive class intervals? I would like to tell you that in inclusive class interval, values equal to the lower and upper limit of classes are recorded in the frequency of that same class. And in the exclusive class interval, in this case, an item equal to either the upper or the lower class limit is excluded from the frequency of that class. Okay, so what is an exclusive? Exclusive means when we exclude the upper limit, okay, when we exclude the lower limit and the upper limit in calculating the class frequencies. But what are inclusive property or inclusive class intervals? When we include either or both lower limits and upper limits in calculating our class frequencies. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you guys. So you can see in this book that what is an inclusive class interval. In this case, values equal to the lower and upper of a class are included in, देखो, the important thing is included. Inclusive means included and exclusive means are excluded. Okay. In case of discrete variable, both exclusive and inclusive class intervals can be used. So this is also important. These can be in the form of objective type questions. So we need to understand this point. Okay. Now in the case of continuous variable, inclusive class intervals are used very often. Okay. Now example, suppose we have data on marks obtained by students in a test and all the marks are in full numbers. Suppose the marks obtained by students vary from 0 to 100. Okay, you can see in this is a case of discrete variable since fractional marks are not allowed. Okay, what is a discrete variable? When we have an exact number and there are no fractions and other numbers which cannot be divided. Okay, so in this case, we are using equal size class intervals and decide to have 10 class intervals from the class intervals. What is an inclusive form of class intervals? When we include, okay, when we include both the limits, है ना? So 0 to 10 means 0 and 10 is included in this class, and 11 to 20 means from 11 to 20 all the numbers are included in this class. Okay, I hope you have understood this point. And exclusive means when we are not including either lower limit or upper limit. So you can see in this example that we are not including 10 in this. 0 to 10, 10 to 20 means 10 is not included in the first one, but it is included in second class. Okay, I think this is clear to you guys. Now example of continuous variable. Suppose we have data on a variable such as heights. This data is of the form of continuous type. In such cases, the class intervals may be defined in the following manner. Now you can see this is not an exact number, that is why it is known as continuous series. And discrete series, as I have told you, contains exact numbers. So these class intervals are understood in the manner 30 kg and above and under 40 kgs. So you can see in this point that 800 to 899, 900 to 999. So in this form continue. Now adjustment in class intervals. Okay, and a close observation of the inclusive method would show that though the variable income is a continuous variable, no such continuity is maintained when the classes are made. We find gap or discontinuity between the upper class limit and the lower class. Okay, for देखो, what is an inclusive? When we include it ना, so it will be in the form of, let me write it down, it will be in the form of like 0 to 10, 11 to 20, but there is no connection between the two, right? But we need to have a connection between the upper limit of the first class and the lower limit of the second class. So there it comes, this is a gap, this is known as the gap. Okay, for example, okay, then how do we ensure the continuity of the variable? Because we need to have a continuity in our data, right? So this is achieved by making an adjustment in the class intervals. Now what are the steps that we need to follow to adjust the class intervals? Okay, सबसे पहले है find the difference between the lower of the second class and the upper of the first class. So in this example you can see okay, in the table 3.4 it is talking about. So table 3.4 is, let me take you, okay, you can see that it is 800 and 899, and the second class interval, the lower limit is 900. So there is a gap between this. So first what is the step is find the difference between. Okay, the difference between is 1, then divide the difference between obtained by 2, which means we were having the difference of 1, we have divided it by 2, so we get 0.5. Subtract the value obtained in 2 from the lower limit of all the classes. Okay, what we need to do with the outcome that we have get in step number 2, we need to subtract it from the lower limits. Now whatever is the lower limit, we need to subtract 0.5, and whatever is the upper limit, we need to add 0.5. So if you will see in the examples, if we follow these steps, what is the outcome? We will get this continuous series. Okay, what we have done here is we have subtracted 0.5 from lower limits and added 0.5 in the upper limits. Okay, I hope these points are clear to you guys. Now these are the continuous series. Now you can say this is the adjusted class marks, and it can be written as adjusted upper class limit plus adjusted lower class limits divided by 2. Now how should we get the frequency in each class? In simple terms, frequency of an observation means how many times that observation occur in the raw data, and this is an obvious. What is a frequency? How many times that observation occur in the raw data, right? So how many times? So frequency refers to the number of values in a particular class. Finding class frequency by telemarking. Now telemarking is like we use this symbol put against a class for each student. For example, you can see in this 0 to 10 there are 0 observations, so we have put only 1 and class marks is 5. Okay, 0 to 20 we can see how many are there. Okay, what we used to do in the telemarking is 1, 2, 3, 4, and for the 5th we cross it and then again start it. So this is 8. So you can see there are 8 frequencies. You can see this, right? So we have marked it as this. So how many are in 20 to 30? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see it is 6. So how we will do the telemarking? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. You can see this. Okay, so this is an easy part, I guess. So let's move ahead. Okay, now loss of information. The classification of data as a frequency distribution has an inherent shortcoming. Now what is the shortcoming? We need to see this also. Okay. Raw data making it concise and comprehensible. It does not show the details that are found in raw data. There is a loss of information in classifying raw data, though much is gained by summarizing it as a classified data. Okay, once the data are grouped into classes, an individual observation has no significance and further. Okay, all the values in this class. Now this is not in frequency distribution with unequal classes. But now you are familiar with frequency distribution of equal classes. You know how they are constructed out of raw data. In some cases, frequency distribution with unequal class intervals are more appropriate if you observe. Example number 4 as in table 3.6. Okay, we will see that. Example number 4, 3.6 data. Where is the example number 4? Okay, we will see it afterwards. So what it is saying is, okay, we will see this now. Now we can see that when we have the frequency distribution of unequal classes, we do not use telemarks over here, right? And you can see this, that answers can be in discrete form. No, not in discrete form, but in a point form. Discrete means exact numbers. Okay. Now what is the thing that we need to cover is frequency curve. You can see the frequency curve. This is how it is made. Okay, now the topic is frequency array. So far we have discussed the classification of data for a continuous variable using the example of percentage mark of 100 student in mathematics. For a discrete variable, the classification of its data is known as a frequency array. So what is a frequency array for a discrete data? Since a discrete variable takes values, not intermediate fractional values between two integral values, we have frequency that correspond to each integral value. Okay, we are having frequency array of size of the households. Okay, you can see the size of the households and number of the variable size of the households is a discrete variable that only take integral values as shown in the table. Now bivibrate frequency distribution. Okay, now what is this? Okay, I will jump to the conclusion only. A bivariate frequency distribution can be defined as the frequency distribution of two variables when we have two variables. Until now what we were studying about was only about one variable. Now if we talk about two variable as the frequency distribution of two variable, then it is known as bivariate frequency distribution. Table 3.9 shows the frequency distribution of two variables, sales and advertisement expenditure of 20 companies. The values of sales, okay, the value of sales and the value of advertisement are classed in different rows and okay. So I think this is pretty clear to you guys. You can see this. We are having bivariate frequency distribution of a sale and advertisement expenditure. This is the table number 3.9 of 20 firms. So there are two variables. Now this is the conclusion, guys. So we need to read the recap also. So first is the classification brings order to raw data. Frequency distribution show how the different values of a variable are distributed in different classes along with their corresponding class frequencies. Either the upper class limit or the lower class limit is excluded in the exclusive method. Both the upper and the lower limits are included in the inclusive method. In a frequency distribution, further classification statistical calculations are based only on the class marks values. Okay, the last one is the classes should be formed in such a way that the class marks of each class comes as close as possible to a value around which the observation so in a class tends to concentrate. Okay guys, so this was the end of this chapter, guys. I hope you were able to understand this chapter and I was able to make you understand this chapter. I will be soon back with the new chapter. If you want the practical portion of this chapter, then do let me know. If you want me to solve the exercise questions also, then I need you to comment in the comment box. I will be back with the new video with the new chapter. Till then, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and like my videos. Thank you.